It's time now for DriveSafe DriveSmart with your host, Greg Buckley from Buckley's Auto Care. With 2 locations, Wilmington and Millsboro, from the bricks to the beaches. And now here's Greg Buckley.
Well, good morning, everybody. Greg Buckley here from Buckley's Auto Care, introducing you to DriveSafe DriveSmart right here on WDEL Radio, 1150 AM, 101.7 FM. It's 10 a.m., August 4th. What a Sunday. It's summertime. Driving, you're looking around, and you're saying, what the heck is DriveSafe DriveSmart? Well, let me tell you, it's not a nuts and bolts type show. It's not click and clack. It's none of the above. We want to talk about how you can be a better driver, how you can drive safe, drive smart, of course, and that means we want to save you money. We want to show you how things are done. We want to talk to you about good quality car care and a lot of other issues that motorists like you and me and maybe your relatives and friends, we all go through day to day. Traffic, safety, seatbelts, highway, when to buy a car. What does it take to keep a new car going this time of year? All right. So stick with me as we get to know one another here for our half hour on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. If you have questions, I hope you do. You are welcome to email them to radio@buckleysAutoCare.com. Now, a little bit about myself and my family, just to start things off. We've been in the automotive repair business since 1966. We have 2 locations now in Wilmington, right there in the Newport area, and also down in Millsboro at the beaches. So like we like to say, we've got you covered from the bricks to the beaches here in Delaware. And we hope that you tune in, learn a little bit. If you have questions or anything, please definitely email at radio@buckleysAutoCare.com. And if you wish to call, 302-999-8285 is the Wilmington shop. And you can speak to Scott or Walter, set your appointments up. We'd love to be able to work with you if you wish. And let's get on the road with our first topic for the first show, car warranties. I know, everybody gets solicited about car warranties. They are service contracts. And they are a money grab situation in the most part. I know for a fact that these companies go out and they actually hit hard for vehicles, or they look for people and motorists, drivers, who may have had, a higher mileage vehicle or a car that's just gotten out of its own OEM warranty, meaning the original factory warranties have extinguished, and now they're looking for ways that they can continue to keep you under a warranty situation. Well, there's a lot of things to learn about these companies, and we've had situations in the shop many times where they don't do what they say they're going to do. Or the way to look at it is you really got to read the fine print, because that's where everything comes forward, and that's where the rubber will hit the road, and that's where most people really don't understand it. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what is a car warranty? Or better, what is a service contract? Because in all honesty and details, it's a contract, and they're not going to cover everything. Don't even think that they're going to tell you that, we're going to take care of that $1,000 bill and you have no out-of-pocket expenses. It doesn't work that way. So I want to get into a few things with how these warranties will work. First off, like I said, you have a vehicle, it just got out of its factory warranty, or you bought a used car and you're thinking that, well, maybe I do need a warranty if something breaks and stuff like that. In some makes and models, there's a high frequency of failure, but the best thing I can tell you is, before you purchase the used car, get a used car inspection by a professional repair shop that you know and you trust. Most important, because that will highlight where the problems may be, where they could be in the future. And so if you are aware of these conditions, 1, you don't have to buy the car. 2, maybe you can negotiate for a lower price on the car, knowing that these conditions have been exposed. That's the big thing. Now, on the warranties will come in, the warranty companies, or contract companies, and there's a host of them out there. A few of them with big names, big sports athletes that are promoting them, actors and actresses, and all of that are out there. And what that is, that's a big marketing situation. They're out there to make sure to give you assurances that these things are going to work. Well, I can tell you from firsthand that they're very shallow. I can put it that way. So they come in and they give you a price of, let's say, I don't know, a couple $100 a month, maybe up to $300 a month, depending on the make and model, and the mileage on the vehicle, and that's your contract. You pay that monthly. And so you go on, and then all of a sudden you have a repair that's needed. Let's say that it's major. And that's where we have a problem, because a lot of people will not look at the fine print on how they're going to go about making these contracts hold up. So you have an engine problem and you think that you have a repair that's going to be covered 100%. The first thing is that if you got to have your records. And that's the most important part. That starts things off. Even if you have an engine failure, the first thing they're going to ask you is, do you have oil change records? And if you do not have oil change records, you are pretty much really looking at climbing a very large mountain to get anything solved by the contract that you have in place. We've had examples at the shop where they will make us tell you, the owner of the car, that you're responsible for any kind of discovery on how that car broke down. And a lot of people do not understand. They get confused when we talk about discovery and testing and diagnosis and that those kind of procedures. So we had one example where a young lady came in with an engine knock, and we went out to physically look at the car. We certainly can hear the engine knocking, right? I mean, it's clear as day. We know we have an internal situation. She has a warranty service contract in hand. Well, the contract states that they will replace and repair what is wrong with the vehicle, with the driveline, the engine, so forth and so on. However, they don't tell you that, one, you're responsible, as the owner, you're responsible for authorizing the teardown of that engine in order to discover what actual part went bad. So if it's an internal situation, let's say that it's a piston, all right, and that's a big part of the engines, all right. So if it's a piston failure, they have the right to say, okay, we're only going to replace that piston. Don't care about the damage done around it. They're going to replace that piston. That's after you authorize us to tear it down. And then they have the right to decide whether or not that is a failed part. And it goes back to your records. Did you maintain proper lubrication? Did you change the oil on a regular basis? Do you have receipts? If you do not have any of that, they more than likely will decline the repair, and you will be stuck paying the labor that it took to tear down that engine, and you still won't have a vehicle to drive. This is why I emphasize that before you buy a vehicle, it is important, it's imperative, it should be mandatory that you play it smart and get a professional inspection done. You don't have to trust please, it's not a matter of trust, it's just good sense that you can't not take the word of a person with a vehicle, especially if you're buying it from a private owner. No offense to anybody that's out there selling their car, but in most cases, the seller may not understand and may not know what's going on with their car to begin with. So you should ask to take the time, say, listen, I want to take it to my professional repair shop and I want to have an inspection done. Would you grant me permission? most of the time they will say yes. If they say no, you walk away from the deal, because good chance are that they may be hiding something. They may know what's going wrong. There was a case where I had a young lady who purchased a Jeep from a Craigslist, and everybody should know about Craigslist. Actually, you don't want to get involved with Craigslist. You don't want to buy anything off of Craigslist. She bought a Jeep, sight unseen, paid $3,500 to the person in cash, came up, then she had the inspection done. Guess what? She had no frame. We could put our fists through that frame. She was out the money. The seller was vanished, and away she went. So that tells you that if they're not willing to get an inspection done, then, or if you ignore the inspection process, you're really at a high risk. And this is where I'm telling you that inspections by a professional are very important. Make sure you know what you're doing. It's all about driving safe, driving smart. Now, when we come back, we'll have some solutions to talk about how you can protect yourself better in these type of scenarios. Drive safe, drive smart. We'll return. Ever enjoy your vacation from the back of a tow truck? Not the best way to relax, is it? Hi, I'm Greg Buckley of Buckley's Auto Care, and now's the time to put out the no tow sign on your car. That's right, summer season is brutal for cars. Belts, hoses, cooling systems, and of course your vehicle AC. They all could cause you to have a miserable time if they fail. Preventing these and other vacation stoppers is our specialty at Buckley's. Our digital inspection process lets you know what's right about your car, what needs attention now, and what can be done later. Best of all, our reports are sent directly to you via text or email before any repairs are performed. You see what we see, and you'll have your estimate up front. We call it intelligent car care, you'll call it relief. Look, the last thing anyone wants is to have a miserable vacation. Your car is important to us because we know it's important to you. Take the time to have a professional team of certified technicians service your vehicle. At Buckley's, we've been doing just that for over 50 years. Call us today at 302-999-8285 to make your summer service appointment. Okay, now where's the boardwalk fries? All right, and we're back. Greg Buckley here from Buckley's Auto Care, and welcome to Drive Safe, Drive Smart. We're not click and clack. We're not nuts and bolts. We're talking about being a better driver, better motorist, how to save a little bit of money, how to know about your repairs from professional automotive service providers. Let's put it that way. So if you're not familiar with me, I own and operate Buckley's Auto Care. We've been in business since 1966. And it's just a little bit of background if you haven't heard, if you have just joining us. 2 locations, one in Wilmington, right by the Newport, and of course one in Millsboro at the beaches. So like I like to say is we've got you covered from the bricks to the beaches right here at Buckley's Auto Care. So thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning at 10 a.m., between 10 and 10:30 right here at WDEL. We're talking about car warranty service contracts and the mess that you can get in with these when you purchase them. There's a lot of fine print. There's a lot of mystery to these contracts. And hopefully we're going to try and continue to explain some of these issues out. In the first half, before the break, we talked about what they are and what you got to look out for and how these companies will definitely, absolutely prey on you and the car and your finances and your pocketbook. They typically will go after, folks with a higher mileage vehicle. They know when you just get out of your original equipment warranty, your factory warranty, that those databases are shared by your local DMVs and other sources. So your information is out there, and you get those phone calls, those pesky phone calls, or those mailers that says, hey, your warranty's up. You want to keep it going? And then they get you to call, and they put a little fear into those promotions and that marketing stuff to get you to buy in. And you really got to take a step back, especially if you might not have anybody with you that understands that these things are pretty much, a trap in some cases. And you got to be weary of all that. So whenever you get solicited by a warranty company or a contract company, and this goes for anything, I would think, you want to make sure that there's value there. Now, I can tell you that from the automotive side and these warranty contracts, there's really not one that will hold up 100%. And so you want to make sure that you understand what your risks are, and you want to understand exactly what your finances are going forward. If you're spending $250, $300 a month to guard against something that may or may not happen, and those contracts can be never-ending if you want them to be. So you can take your monthly payment and on those contracts and figure it out by the year, and then go down to the mileage and so forth and so on. We can get into that to another time. But when we talk about, what are some of the alternatives to service contracts and warranties? Well, it really comes down to budgeting. Most will look at their finances and they'll say, well, if you're going to, if a company, a third party, is going to charge me $250 to $300 a month, and I'm willing to pay that, how about this? How about if I simply take that money and I put it in a car savings account? Even if you have to open up another savings account that's dedicated to car repair. I find a lot of parents may consider that when they're dealing with younger drivers or new drivers or drivers who may be out of town, living out of town. We have the University of Delaware. There's a lot of parents that will pay and support their kids' vehicles while they're out of state, and they have accounts set up so that they can take care of them. It's a very simple situation. The money is kept with you, and you get a little war chest for when that issue might happen. So if you buy a car smart, with good inspections, good maintenance records, and you have it inspected by a professional, you really do lower the risk of purchasing a lemon. All right? And that what saves you a lot of money in the long run. So now you have this war chest, this savings account made for just your car or car and vehicle maintenance. Now, what are some of the other things that you can look at? Well, a lot of places will have a financing situation where there's no interest and just straight up payments, no interest payments for anywhere from 6 to 12 months. All right, that's smart money. You're not being charged. You have equally divided payments, and you can get up to 6 to 12 months free and clear of simply making payments as if you were putting that in a savings account. It's a very easy proposition. Yes, in most cases, credit is important. There are different types of programs that will give you the 6 to 12 months, but on the back end of that, you have to watch out what the interest will be if you miss a payment. And that's something that's where they get you at, is if you miss a payment, you're going back to the full amount times that interest rate. And honestly, I have seen interest rates from 12% to up to 88%. That's no joke. There are programs out there that you can buy, you can apply for that are 88% interest. And it's crazy. But again, if you meet the criteria and you meet the payment schedule, you won't have to worry about that. It's all a matter of timing. So again, service contracts, you do not want to get hypnotized by them. You want to make sure that what you have is going to cover what you need, and do not expect to have no out-of-pocket expenses, because that's absolutely false. There will be 100% there'll be expenses over and above what that contract will hold you for. And as we get into a couple of things here, I can tell you from a service provider standpoint that any provider will or may have a different fee schedule with those service contracts. And the reason being is because there's a lot of time involved in managing that contract for you. So you have, sometimes there's administration costs, not much, but it does add to the costs of the service provider when they deal with these. There's lack of margins. There's a lot of things that go on the back end that make dealing with these service contracts not fun. In plain English, it's not fun. There's a lot of hassles. There's a lot of negotiations that goes on that your service provider works for on your behalf, and all of that comes into play at the end of the procedure, where these service contracts, and we're negotiating with their agents. Again, it becomes a real problem. So quality-wise, what are some of the ones to look for? Well, I mean, from our experience, we've dealt with a company called Assurant, and that's ASSURANT.com. They're pretty much an underwriter for a lot of the contracts that are out there that are being promoted. They seem to be fair. They're good to us, meaning the service provider can create a good relationship with them, which means that's going to be much better for you as the motorist. Again, from your perspective, you do not wish to engage with any type of contract provider that has a negative BBB rating. One of them out there is very high profile right now. You could see them on TV. They have the actors. Again, like I said, they have the promotion. They are probably one of the biggest ones out there, and yet they're probably the worst ones out there. And you could say that, well, they saved me here, they saved me there. But again, we see it as, if you budget correctly, if you buy the vehicle smart, right? If you make the smart purchase, you get a quality vehicle, and I'm talking pretty much primarily a used vehicle, then all of this stuff really, you really don't need it like you think you do. And that's what you got to step back. And I always try to tell people, how many miles do you drive? You go through the numbers. Just go through your numbers and what that car is worth, what the value is, all of that, and take all that into consideration. And when you get done to it, when you finish those numbers, I bet you'll look at yourself and say, you know what, I don't need that. I can do all of this. So it's really important that, you look at, you do it from a numbers perspective. And I keep harping back on numbers because it really does come down to that. You'd be surprised how much that when you factor all that in, miles driven, the amount of the vehicle purchased, your insurance, everything,